I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of our shooting program, and certainly welcome to our show. I'm standing here with Catherine, who's a member of our staff, and she's was nice enough to come out and be with us today. And Catherine, you have had the good fortune, you were on the rifle team back in high school, is that correct?
For a little while.
So she is not exactly new to shooting, but something she hasn't done is very much handgun shooting. So we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But tell you what, Catherine, why don't you take our Colt ace bar here, and we'll let you open the show today.
Okay.
Now, Catherine, I know that you've had some experience, certainly with a rifle and it shows, but you haven't shot that many handguns, have you?
No.
Well, friends, you know, we have so many women today who are finding out that the police will not be there if you had an altercation, and of course, you have had some first-hand experience by being on the scene. You've actually seen a crime committed in the past, and you know what it is to be unarmed.
Yes.
At the moment of truth there. So friends, now that we do have women that are living on their own, that are doing more and more things, and there's nothing wrong with that. Women should be free to go where they want to and do the things they want. But you know, here's the situation. Now, whether you like it or not, we're all supposed to be created equal, and that certainly, I think we're equal in the eyes of the Lord, and we're equal in the eyes of the law most of the time. However, there aren't any two human beings other than maybe an identical twin, and there will still be differences in an identical twin. Everyone is going to be different. Now then, Catherine here is 5'1" and a half.
And a half.
She's 5'1" and a half, which you are, I'm going to say, you fit, you're an average size of a lot of women out there, yourself and tremendous others in your size. You're certainly a normal sized person, whereas yours truly is somewhat on the economy side. Now then, it's been a while since we did this particular piece on the program, but you know, friends, since by sheer size difference between Catherine and myself, unless she uses karate and taekwondo and all these things, if we get in a wrestling match, well, I'm probably going to win due to sheer size. All right, the point is, even if I have a gun, if Catherine here or any other woman her size, if she has a gun also, suddenly you and I become the same size.
Yeah.
And this is what is so important. A lot of women today are buying handguns and they're not familiar with how to use them. So we're going to be doing things, and again, we appreciate you coming out today. We're going to be doing things for women, because when the balloon goes up, when the altercation happens, guess what? The police, your boyfriend, your parents, your neighbors are not going to be there, because the only time, or almost all the time, when a crime happens, when someone is a victim of a crime, the criminal waits until there is no one around, and he tries to catch someone off guard or certainly unsuspecting. And we're trying to say that you out there watching us, you as a woman can defend yourself. Now, it takes a couple of things. One, of course, you're going to need a firearm. There are some other alternatives, such as pepper gas and certainly some other things, but we're talking about guns here. You're going to need a gun, but you're also going to use a proper attitude. You've got to have an attitude that you can defend yourself. Now, Catherine, I know there are several people in your family, but if you're attacked, you might think, well, that's just you. It's not just you as an individual. Each one of us represents about 20 people. Now then, Catherine, if someone hurts you, they not only hurt you, they hurt your parents, your grandparents, your brothers and sisters. They hurt all the people that care about you. So this is the way you ought to look at it. You can't allow some nut, a criminal, to hurt not only you, but your whole family. You just should not allow it, and you have to take a mindset. I read an article in the paper a while back. Some lady was writing and she said, "Oh, I just couldn't hurt anyone. Oh, I just couldn't." Well, what you gonna do? You gonna lay there and take it? You gonna let somebody rob you? You gonna let somebody take your life away without resisting? My gosh, if civilization would never have gotten to first base if that's the attitude they had. Thankfully, there were people who said, no, I'm not going to take that. You know, many times in school, when there was a bully or someone that tried to take advantage, all you had to do was stand up and say, no, no, it's going to cost you. You know, you may whip me or whatever, but it's going to cost you. You're not going to like it. And many times, when you present a gun to let someone who would take advantage, let them know that you're not going to take it, that may be enough. That absolutely may be. But you also have to be mentally and emotionally prepared to say, I'm not going to let you get away with it, and I'm going to do whatever is required to protect my life and the lives of my family. So that's what this is about. Now then, let me get out of the pulpit for a minute. But what we're saying is so important, friends. We've got to let people know, especially these women, that yes, they can take care of themselves, because a lot of them now are single mothers living alone, and you have to. So what we're going to do, we're going to be very basic. Now, Catherine's pretty doggone good with that rifle, but she doesn't have much experience with a handgun. We have our Ruger 22/45. This is the 22 with the 45 grip angle, and it's very easy to handle. That's the 22 pistol we have out here today. So we're going to start Catherine off just a little bit here with this 22. Now then, friends, the first thing we're going to do, you'll notice that we don't have a target out at 25 yards. We're going to put a target up because in all reality, you're only worried about someone who is close to you anyway. But we're going to start her off. We want to give her confidence that she can hit the target. We have about a 10 or so inch circle here that she's going to be shooting at. We're going to give her some basic instruction. And I tell you what, you ladies, don't be afraid to go to these gun shops, because we're working on some of the gun shop commandos in the past. Those are some of the fellows that hang around gun shops and lie. Yeah. There's just not much demand for gun shop commandos, so let's be nice to people. If you are regular at the gun shop, be polite and be nice, because we need those people coming into gun shops who don't know much about guns but who want to know. And don't lie and tell them about your 750-yard shot with a 22 long rifle. Tell the truth and try and be nice and helpful if someone asks you questions. So anyway, what we're going to do, we're going to set Catherine up here with this 22, and we want her to hit her target. We want you to develop some self-confidence with the gun. My friends, realize an important thing. We don't want to hurt Catherine's ears. We don't want to hurt her eyes. So we have her wearing ear and eye protection. Very important, even with a 22. Now, Catherine, you already know how this gun works. We're going to go ahead and load it. Now that it's on safe, I'll put it up here at the target. Safety off, good. Get in place. Sort of cup your hands. There you go. That's a good technique for you. And now then, point toward the center. Find your front sight in your rear groove here. And go ahead, take some shots. Good. Dead center. Good. Catherine, that was great. What's your first impression of shooting a handgun?
Cool. Okay.
Well, absolutely. That's why we started with a 22. But you like that pretty well, didn't you?
Yeah.
Now you have some technique now. Let's move up a stage. Since this is a 45 type gun, we're going to let you shoot a 45 because it's very similar in how it works. And see what you think. Load the gun. And yes, even someone who is of smaller size with proper instruction and proper technique can shoot a full charge 45. Let's see what it looks like. Hear my song? Yeah. Glasses in place. All right, we've been through this already. We're going to go through it again for your benefit. Okay? You get a proper grip. All right, let's get this hand right here in front. Like so. Good. Good firm grip here. Lock that wrist. Remember, with semi-automatic pistols, that wrist has to be locked. All right, we're going for our center. Get a good firm grip. Lock this wrist. Don't try and squeeze it to death, but just be firm. Right? All right, and gently pull the trigger. Great. Great. And dead center in the target. What do you think, Catherine? You moved to, hey, that was Corbin. That was a powerful load. What'd you think? Well, hey, we're going to have more installments. We again appreciate it. What do you want to say to these ladies out here about these handguns?
Handguns are cool. They're really not that bad. I'm still standing.
Well, you absolutely are. You shot a combat commander with a full charge carbine load. That was a full charge defensive load, and I thought you handled it real well. Ladies, you can do it. So let's get involved, huh?
Right.
Stay tuned for more of the Shootin' Show after these important messages.
If you are a boater or a birder, if you ever carry a camera, Bi-Tote is for you. It is the most comfortable binocular and camera carrier on the market today. And its all-elastic quick change feature makes it possible to switch from one piece of equipment to another without missing a beat. If you think that carrying binoculars or cameras is a pain in the neck, try Bi-Tote. For the first time, your equipment will feel almost weightless, and you'll be free of that annoying swinging and bouncing which is hard on your body as well as the equipment, especially when you're negotiating rough terrain or on a pitching boat. One hand for you, one hand for the boat, and Bi-Tote for your binoculars or camera. They'll be ready for you instantly, held firmly in position. They're always there, not buried in a locker or other out-of-the-way place. And the Bi-Tote is totally adjustable for a custom fit. All necessary adapters and complete instructions are included with your Bi-Tote. How did you ever get along without it?
You know, Carrie, I think it's as important for you ladies to know how to use these firearms as it is for us men. But you know, there's something else. We can have firearms for defense of our homes and certainly for sport, but we also need information.
Yes, I agree. I think the New American Magazine is the best source of information available in this country.
Well, I would certainly agree. The New American Magazine is the truth and nothing but the truth. And friends, if you would like to know what is really going on in this country and around the world, if you want, in fact, the truth, well, you need to get the New American Magazine. So here's how to do it. You can get the New American by calling 1-800-727-TRUE, and those numbers, of course, are 1-800-727-8783. The New American, $22 for a 6-month subscription. It comes twice a month. Now, friends, with your new Shootin' Show subscription, they will also send you a free copy of what the United Nations is bringing to all of us. So this is very important. Subscribe today. You know, friends, in times like these, which indeed are strange times, we certainly need our firearms, but we also need the information about what's really going on. Order today. You know, Catherine, for people that would like back issues of the New American on particular subjects such as the police state issue and the United Nations issue, they do have reprints available, and they do have some bulk for numbers, I suppose, bulk pricing. Now, you can get these back issues by calling area 414-749-3784. You might get a pencil. Area 414-749-3784. You can fax them at 414-749-3785 for back issues of the New American.
Johnny, why don't you tell them how to get a gift subscription?
Well, that's true. They are making a special gift subscription available. You can give someone a year subscription to the New American for the regular price of $39. But the first one is $39, and then each additional subscription is only $29. And again, you need to give them a call at, now on the 800 number that we use in our other pieces on New American, this is a different offer. So you can phone area 414-749-3784 and ask about the gift subscription. And honestly, I can't think of a nicer gift that you might want to give someone else in your family. You might want to give your neighbors, your friends. If you have maybe a good liberal friend of yours who really needs their eyes open, don't you think that's a good idea? Give them a gift subscription to the New American because, hey, you can help them. I mean, absolutely. Just tell them the truth. Again, that number for the gift subscription, $39 for 1 year gift subscription, area 414-749-3784. And each additional gift subscription you give will be only $29. That's for an entire year. So this is a great offer from the New American.
Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
Friends, we hope you're enjoying our program. The judge and I are over in his office today. And Judge, tell me something, how long you had this Browning?
Oh, Johnny, I've had that Browning for probably less than 10 years, 5 years maybe. I picked it up at a gun show.
Well, do you realize, according to the current Clintonista criteria, that this is an assault shotgun? You've got a cuts compensator on it. You've got an extended magazine. It's a semi-automatic. You realize here that you have according to the Clintonistas, a terrorist weapon.
No, the shotguns aren't included. They didn't include shotguns in the that bill. But I understand what you're talking about.
Exactly. And this gun is no telling how old, for that matter. You've had it a while, but A5s have been around since just after 1900. So anyway,
I picked it up at a gun show, and I think I paid $75 for it.
Well, you don't have to brag. Well, friends, I tell you what, we have some exciting things going on. I suppose, where's our newsletter? Here it is. Yes, in fact, after all this time, and those of you who've been with this program, been watching this program all these years, yes, we are. We have. Yes, well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have our first. Our newsletter is starting up, and this is called On Site, and it is exciting. It's going to be our official newsletter, and we're extremely pleased about that. We'll be talking more about this a little later on. Sir, you're going to have a column. I'll have a column.
Well, I'm not going to commit myself to writing a column for anything because I've got a whole desk full of papers here that need to have things written about them, but be that as it may. Maybe sometimes. Please note that the name of the show is being changed. It is Johnny Rowlands Shooting Show now. There are some legal reasons for doing this. We may still use some of this logo, but it's going to be a separate corporation. We're going to have the Johnny Rowlands Shooting Show. This newsletter that we're going to start putting out, first issue will go to the members of the gun club, Shootin' Show Gun Club, and because of the cost of production and mailing, we're not going to be able to mail it out to just everybody that writes in because we don't know how many that is, and that if that were suddenly to hit us with 10,000 requests, I don't know what we'd do about it. So
go out and start picking up Coke cans. That's what we'd do.
So we're going to put that first one out for $1.25, and don't send the money. Just send us your Visa or MasterCard number. Are you MasterCard?
That's true.
Too?
Yes, we're Visa, MasterCard, or you can send us a check or a money order.
Check or money order. I guess you could send cash, but I hate to get cash in the mail. I think the loss ratio on it's a little bit too high. Well, not bad, but I don't know what the post office does with all the mail.
Well, and you can call us on our 1-800 number, 1-800-895-7916, and ask for the newsletter. They will take your credit card number on the phone there. So it's exciting. It's really going to, we've got some cooperation from some folks that are really trying to help this project, and we really do appreciate it. It is going to be an excellent newsletter, and I'm excited. You know, this is something we've been working on now for several years, and for those of you who've been following this project, you know how, in fact, low budget we are, but we have worked so hard for so long to do, and that's very important. We've always tried to do what we say we're going to do. Now, we didn't say when on some of this stuff, but we are definitely getting there, and we do appreciate everyone's cooperation. You will enjoy and appreciate our newsletter.
Okay. Back to my favorite subject, politics. Got elections coming up pretty soon. I don't think you'll have any of our viewers in Louisiana will have this before them until after we determine that who the new governor is going to be. But we're pushing hard for Mike Foster. He's the one that introduced our concealed carry bill and got it through the state Senate, and Roy Brunn got it through the state House, and then the governor vetoed it. So if we elect Mike as governor, we can be sure we won't have a gubernatorial veto.
Well, let's make a point about Mike Foster got his groundswell of support. This is, I guess, that's about all he said for a while. He wanted people to be able to own guns and carry guns and get have permits. And that really, I guess, was one of his cornerstones.
Well, it's one of his cornerstones, all right, and there's no question about that. And, of course, his opponent, a liberal Democrat congressman from this area, from a gerrymandered area, incidentally, in my opinion, is opposed to gun ownership. He's opposed to concealed carry. I don't know what all he believes about guns or what all he's been willing to say about guns, but I can tell you this, he never bent a gun control bill in the state legislature that he didn't like.
Well, so that pretty well settled it for us. And this goes to show, and friends, you can take some comfort in this. There are political positions, political offices all over the country that, you know, some of these politicians are finding out that, yes, this is an important issue to the majority of the people in this country. And I don't care. I tell you what, I'm looking forward. I wish that New York would have a referendum on how the citizens in New York, not the politicians, but the citizens in New York, some of these places where guns have been almost prohibited, let the citizens say how they feel about these ridiculous gun control laws and see if they would like to be able to protect themselves. What do you think?
Well, the most sensible state in the Northeast is Vermont that doesn't have any gun laws, period.
They also have almost no crime at all.
That's right. They have probably the lowest crime in the whole country. We are also boosting our the state Senate, Mike Foster, not Mike Foster, Mike Malone.
That's local for us here.
That's local for us, and I doubt if there's anybody, any of our viewers, because we're not on local cable, any of our viewers will be voting in that Senate election, but we have a liberal Democrat girl-type legislator that was in the legislature, and boy, her voting record shows her liberality. Anyhow.
You know, it's funny, you talk about our local cable situation. We actually, here in this part of Louisiana is pretty well, if there ever was a Wild West state, Louisiana has been it.
I don't like that term Wild West, Johnny. The Wild West was a peaceful...
Well, I know, but let's use the term and not the truth on that. But the term, what most people think of as Wild West, Louisiana has been a circus atmosphere and politically for many, many years. And but here we are, and we've got a little stronghold of liberals that we're sitting right in the middle of. This is just like Soldier Fortune being in Boulder, Colorado, the Colorado's bastion of liberals, just about, huh?
Well, Boulder is Colorado's bastion of liberalism. Of course, Denver helps. I want to talk about two other politicians. The greatest supporters that we have in the United States House of Representatives are first Helen Chenoweth from Idaho and Steve Stockman from Texas. Now, Steve, you remember, beat the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee that put the crime bill through, along with a big appropriation for a college in his district. Steve and Helen are both facing a lot of character assassination and a lot of opposition from liberals in their area. My daughter lives in Idaho, and she sends me clippings from there. Now, Helen gets some favorable press from up there, but she mostly gets unfavorable press. And I want to tell you all, we need to keep those two people in the Congress of the United States. Elections are about a year off, almost exactly. This is November. Those of you who like to make contributions to your favorite political people that are on your side, let's start off this year with Helen Chenoweth and with Steve Stockman, because those two are really stalwarts for us.
Well, I would agree. You're exactly right. You know, friends, that's why a program like ours, and especially this show, you're not going to get a slanted view of the truth on this program. Unfortunately, the mass media, whether it be newspaper or the gigantic networks, are slanted to a huge degree, especially on issues about freedom, especially on gun issues. And this is something that is so important that we get our message out, because all we're doing is telling the truth.
Well, Johnny, we must have had some success because even Dan Rather had a program on 48 hours a week ago. I've mentioned it last week, and I want to mention it again. It was a fair program. It was a program featuring concealed carry. It was not particularly derogatory. As a matter of fact, in most cases, it was on our side, I think.
But you know, Judge, debating, if someone calls the Second Amendment controversial, I mean, is free speech controversial? Certainly not. I don't think it is. It's really not.
Well, of course, what you're saying, Johnny, is that the Second Amendment, it shouldn't be controversial any more than the First Amendment is controversial.
That's right.
Well, the First Amendment may be controversial, as sometimes I think there's a little bit too much freedom of speech. And, of course, none of these rights are absolute. Even the Supreme Court has said that as far as freedom of speech is concerned, that does not mean freedom to shout fire in a crowded theater.
Exactly. Well, that's exactly what you were saying. We have, because unfortunately, some people take advantage. Freedom of speech also means freedom to lie. And boy, do we have some of that going around in Washington, and it's not just all in Washington. We have a lot of freedom to lie. But you know what? I'm willing to allow these people the freedom to lie as long as we can tell the truth. And that's what we're doing. Because if we shut down their freedom to lie, we'd also shut down our freedom to tell the truth.
Let me just mention a couple of little items from the on-site first issue. How many of you have ever heard of a Liberator 45?
You know, friends, it's rare in any field of manufacture that one particular company has a clear-cut advantage over the others. Well, in this case, it's Corbin Ammunition, Corbin Bullet Company, because they make the best handgun, long gun, and even some specialty caliber ammunition that's been real hard to get in the past. If you really want your handgun or rifle to perform at their absolute best, you need to find some Corbin ammunition. For information on where you can get Corbin, information on their product line, call them. Corbin Bullet Company, 1-800-626-7266. Again, give them a call. It's a free call, 1-800-626-7266. Trust me on this one. Corbin is the best there is. You know, friends, all of us as shooting enthusiasts should be subscribing to Shotgun News, the trading post for anything that shoots. 3 big issues monthly with literally thousands and thousands of firearms bargains. Give them a call, 1-800-345-6923, a very inexpensive subscription price. Again, 1-800-345-6923. Subscribe today. The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
I was talking about the Liberator 45. That was a little gun that was produced in the United States and was dropped to partisans in Europe during World War II. They made about 3 million of them at the rate of 1 every 5 seconds. And they said that made it the only gun in history that could be made quicker than it could be loaded.
which is excellent. And that's the case, friend, of when our government feels need to, it gives guns away.
Well,
you know.
The idea of that particular gun was one shot with a 45 was all you needed to kill a Nazi soldier.
And then you got his gun.
And then you take his gun with his ammunition.
With his ammunition.
And that was the whole idea. The idea was the enemy would have no use for it if and when they found it, but partisans would be able to take out an enemy soldier and then take his more effective weapons. I think that's rather interesting. It was produced by the Guide Lamp Division of General Motors. as you know, of course, there are a lot of people that were producing guns in World War II that don't normally produce them. Singer Sewing Machine Company. Can you think of any of the
Made
others?
nice guns. Oh, absolutely. Singer, Union Switch and Signal made some.
IBM made some.
IBM. Who else? All kinds of people were making guns, and but then it was very conducive. And boy, talk about, the British, I mean, they asked for anything that went bang. The British asked for any possible mechanism that could be even remotely called a firearm.
Well, that's one of the things that aggravated me about the British. They disarmed their own people, and then they were open for invasion from the continent, except for the British Navy. That's all that saved them, and the British Air Force, of course. But they had to beg American sportsmen to send them their sporting rifles in order to be able to arm their civilians until they could get military weapons again.
So doesn't it stand to reason it's ignorant to disarm your population, but you'll trust them during wartime, but when there's not a war going on, well, I don't think the population can be trusted. Don't you think that's ridiculous?
Well, Johnny, take a look at Switzerland, for example.
That's right.
Now, the Swiss have a compulsory military training program, and every Swiss soldier in the reserve or active has a fully automatic weapon at home with ammunition.
Right. We're all just average citizens who are
and it is a very low crime rate, probably the lowest in the world.
And they also, Switzerland, Hitler went around Switzerland because the entire population was the army. It was just the price was going to be too high for him to invade Switzerland.
Well, my dad used to say all they'd have gotten would have been yodelers and watches, but but I think that was kind of an exaggeration. Anyhow, give some support for Helen Chenoweth, for Steve Stockman, for Mike Foster, and for Mike Malone if you happen to live in this district, in this senatorial district in Louisiana. We're still fighting to maintain our rights, and we hope to keep it up. This is talk television at its best. We don't have the audience that Rush Limbaugh has, but
hey, we're working on it.
We're working on it.
We're working on it.
We're kind of I won't say a single issue, because I think that more than firearms, that freedom is an issue.
Absolutely.
But we're working on it, and we wish you luck. And incidentally, everybody, you ought to see our camera gal today.
Well, friends, we hope you're enjoying our program. A lot of you will recognize this young lady sitting on my right here. This is Donna Mitchell, and Donna in the past has done a number of things on our program. She's done commercials for us and has certainly been a good friend and a great feature on our show. However, Donna does other things. She has a family, and she works very hard at a job that she has, and we hadn't really, we've sort of been out of contact for about a year now. Hadn't really
It's good to
seen
be
her.
back, though. It feels good.
Well, I appreciate that. And a lot of, we got mail over the past, certainly over the past year. I know you had a pretty little following out there. We had mail saying, "Where's Donna?" Well, Donna was off working. She was doing things certainly with her family. But a few days ago, I ran into Donna down at one of the local stores, and certainly nice to see you. But Donna, just sort of recap when you and I met, and we hadn't seen each other in about a year.
It's been about a year. Well, when I seen Johnny, I couldn't believe my eyes. I really couldn't. I was just shocked. I had to do a double take. The weight was the first thing I noticed. And I commented on that, and as we started speaking, I noticed a glow about his face.
I'm not paying her to say
no,
this.
he's
She's
not
saying
paying me to. This is coming from me, and his face was just lit up. I noticed the lines were lighter than they were before on the face, around the eyes, and I don't want to embarrass you, but I'm going to tell you what I said to him. I said, "Have you had a facelift?" And he laughed, and he said, "No, it's not a facelift. It's this new health club plan that I've been involved in." And immediately I said, "Tell me more about it. I'm interested."
Well, this is really true, Donna. I do appreciate the compliment, certainly. Friends, as you've heard me say on a number of occasions, this has been one of the great discoveries of my life. None of us ever thought anything like this was possible, to take something that would actually take you back in time, and that's certainly what it's done for me. You feel so much better. Those of us, I mean, we naturally age. I mean, things happen as we age. You know, I'm 46 years old, and you do age. I mean, it's okay, but what about going back in time and knowing what you know now, but maybe looking like you did a few years ago, and feeling so much better, having this energy and vitality? It is absolutely wonderful. And someone like Donna, who certainly has a very youthful appearance anyway, well, we were talking and said, you know, she could essentially look the same for many, many years. She could retain that youthful quality that she has. Now, Donna works for a psychiatrist. And Donna, tell me something. A lot of people that come into your office, I know, are troubled. A lot of them have weight problems, don't they?
That's true, and the weight problems affect your self-esteem. They affect the way you feel about yourself and the way you feel about others. Depression accompanies
that's
overweight
really a
people.
problem, isn't it?
It is a
Depression.
problem. It is.
And
I mean, you have to feel good about yourself to be able to feel good inside. And
to feel good about other people, you first have to feel good about
that's
yourself,
right.
don't you?
Exactly.
Well, now, friends, what is so important about this, we have a new weight management program. And I think, of course, it uses the vitamins, it uses the products that are we make available through our health club. But the weight management program, here's what's so important. One, you don't have to go to any meetings. You don't have to go over here and sit down and talk with a group of people. You can read the book. You can start on the products. You can lose the weight in your own home. Nobody even has to know about it. Now, some people are very sensitive about that. Heck, I'm tickled to death to tell people I lost weight.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
But this is something you can do at home, and it's relatively, compared to some other weight loss programs, I think it is very reasonable in cost. But the great news is, once someone gets the weight off, you can keep it off. You know, this is a problem with so many diets. Someone can actually lose weight and they're so proud of themselves, and they get off the diet plan and they want to eat real food again, and they gain all the weight back.
And the crash diets don't work.
crash
We know
diets don't
that.
work.
We've all tried it. It doesn't work.
That's really true. And really, don't you find that some of these folks that lose a lot of this weight and then gain it back are actually in worse psychological shape than they were when they started?
Sure they are.
Because they feel like they failed again. And I think a lot of people feel like being overweight is some sort of failure with themselves, failure over self-control. It's really a personal failure, and I think that's one of the things that makes it so depressing. Well, friends, we can come to the rescue. This is no joke. Give us a call on our 1-800 line, 1-800-895-7916. Leave your name and address and phone number, and one of our people will get back to you. And yes, we are extremely busy, but they're getting to folks. The lag time is not too terribly long. They'll get to you as soon as they can. And this is something that, of course, this helps our program. Of course, it helps keep our shooting program on the air. But more than that, it's going to help you. It's going to make those of you who try this and are successful with it, it's going to make you a more viable physically person. And you know what? When you have more vitality physically, you have more mentally and emotionally. It makes life better. So friends, don't put it off. Call today. 1-800-895-7916. You can ask for the health program, or even you might mention the weight management program, because it is such a terrific thing. And now, friends, we're very pleased to present Art Alpin of the great A Square Company. For those of you who don't know, Art is a former instructor at West Point, and he has some of these wonderful things to say, some of the most interesting things that I've ever seen on firearms. And so let's see what he has to tell us today.
Throughout the 1600s, many attempts were made to improve upon the ignition of the matchlock. Some of these you might be familiar with, such as this wheel lock. Though very reliable, the wheel lock was slow to operate, expensive to manufacture, and difficult to maintain in the field. The wheel lock used hardened iron and a lump of iron pyrite in order to throw sparks and ignite the charge. This idea carried forward using hardened iron and a piece of flint and resulted in another weapon, the snaffons. After suitable modification, this evolved into the flintlock. Our sample today is a reproduction of a British Brown Bess and is quite representative of all flintlock smoothbore muskets. Though it may look a bit strange today, the flintlock was, for its day and age, quite simple and reliable. A hammer was mounted on the side of the weapon, powered by a spring and released by a trigger. This hammer had a set of screw jaws which held a piece of flint rigidly in place. At a point under the hammer's arc of travel, a touch hole was drilled to the interior of the barrel. Underneath this touch hole, a pan was mounted on the side of the weapon in which priming powder could be placed. On the forward edge of this pan, another spring-powered part, the frizzen, was mounted on a hinge. This frizzen served double duty. When the weapon was cocked, it covered the pan, keeping the priming powder in place. When the hammer was released and traveled forward, the flint struck the upper wing of the frizzen, causing sparks and knocking the frizzen forward. These sparks then fell into the pan, igniting the priming powder. As manufacturing and metallurgical skill increased, the weapons were made stronger. The shoulder-fired weapon decreased in weight to the point where a man could hold and fire it without use of the fork rest. Many methods of combining the pike with a firearm were tried, such as this plug bayonet. For obvious reasons, the plug bayonet was not entirely satisfactory. Within a few short years, however, this had evolved into the socket bayonet, wherein a sleeve slipped over and locked onto the outside of the muzzle of the weapon. These developments all came together in the flintlock smoothbore musket, which was in general issue by the early 1700s. The flintlock smoothbore was loaded from a paper cartridge. This is not a cartridge as you understand it today, but simply a paper envelope containing a pre-measured amount of powder and a leaden ball. The soldier drew the paper cartridge from his ammunition pouch and tore the cartridge in half by biting on the ball and wrenching the remainder of the paper away. He then poured a small amount of powder into the priming pan, closed the frizzen, and dropped the butt on the ground. The remainder of the powder was poured down the barrel and the paper discarded. He then took the leaden ball from his teeth and dropped it down the barrel, discarding any paper which remained. You should note that though the bore of the Brown Bess ran from 73 to 75 caliber, it fired a 69 caliber ball. All flintlock smoothbores used balls of similar undersized dimensions. This was done because black powder, a mixture of charcoal, saltpeter, and sulfur, left behind large quantities of fouling in the barrel. If the weapon was to be loaded after 4 or 5 shots, this gap between the ball and barrel had to exist or the ball could not be rammed home. After dropping the ball into the barrel, the soldier withdrew the ramrod, rammed the ball home, and returned the ramrod underneath the barrel. He then placed the weapon to his shoulder and pulled the trigger. You should also understand that the soldier did not aim. The sloppy fit between barrel and ball made the weapon hopelessly inaccurate. Aiming, therefore, was really of no consequence whatsoever. What you think is a front sight mounted on this weapon is in fact a bayonet lug. It couldn't be placed on the underside of the weapon because that's where the ramrod had to go. In use, the whole thing looked something like this.
Don't go away. The Shootin' Show will be right back after these very important messages.
Get your hands off that gun, bow, or fishing rod. Holding onto your equipment while you're going through the woods or climbing a hill is fatiguing and possibly dangerous. The versatile Tri-Tote all-season carrier is easy to use. You never have to drill a hole in your fine gun stock. And the Tri-Tote can be set up for your specific needs in a jiffy. Just follow the illustrated instructions and free demo video enclosed. There you are, hands-free, yet ready to shoot in an instant. Hunting and fishing have never been more enjoyable. With Tri-Tote, your equipment is secure and your hands are free to support yourself or carry other gear. How did you ever get along without Tri-Tote? Make this year's hunting and fishing the best ever. To order your Tri-Tote at this special TV price, call toll-free 1-800-231-1443. That's 1-800-231-1443.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
Our shooter has fired 5 shots in roughly 1 minute and 12 seconds. You can see how much fouling has been left behind on the weapon and on his hands with such relatively little firing. His target represented a formation of men. The inaccuracy of the weapon is readily obvious. The 5 hits from 7 shots total are circled in red. On our chart, however, the brown bass looks quite good. You will note that it has roughly the same range as the matchlock, and yet its volume of fire is easily triple that of the matchlock. Further, the chart does not tell the whole story. With the bayonet affixed to this weapon, there was no longer a need for the pike. Now every man could be issued a musket, and every man could fire. The changes wrought by the emphasis on gunfire were immense. Gone were the tercios of the Spanish and the brigades of the Swedish. Instead, the line formation was instituted. Depending upon the nation involved, this varied from 2 to 5 ranks deep and generally employed volley fire by platoon or by rank. Though the line formation does allow every man to fire his weapon, it is unwieldy. This created a need for drill. The musket's rate of fire depended upon its mechanical manipulation by the soldier. This created still more need for drill. You should also remember that the weapon had to be fired from a standing position, and that most of the time the soldier was working on loading the musket, not on firing it. Since he was 60 yards or less from the enemy, the volleys that came crashing into his ranks killed or wounded many of those about him. The only way to keep the soldier efficiently at his task of loading and firing the musket was to emphasize discipline and drill above all other soldierly qualities. The smoothbore musket in line formation evolved into what we call linear warfare. It was carried to its height by Frederick the Great. In addition to instituting a rigidity in drill and discipline which no other army could match, Frederick also introduced the iron ramrod. Unlike the normal wooden ramrod of the day, the iron ramrod could be plied vigorously, regardless of how fouled the barrel became. In Frederick's army, rates of fire frequently reached 5 rounds per minute, and his battalions took on the nickname of walking batteries. A good example of the effect of this volume of fire is the Battle of Minden in 1759. In this battle, the Prussians, with their Hanoverian and British allies, literally blew the French cavalry off the field with a storm of lead. Cavalry never again formed up on the main line of battle. Despite this emphasis on fire, one cannot ignore the bayonet. Even 5 rounds a minute could not always prevent enemy infantry or cavalry from reaching your position. But the bayonet could stop the horses of the cavalry, and when the enemy was demoralized by the untiring fury of the crashing volleys, he could frequently be pushed from the field by the judicious application of the bayonet. Though it may look crude today, the flintlock smoothbore musket was a vast improvement over anything that had gone before. When complemented with the organization, the drill, the tactics, the drill, the discipline, and the incessant, mind-numbing drill of linear warfare, the flintlock smoothbore and the bayonet were extremely effective weapons.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm standing here with a young man named Gilbert Pickens. And Gilbert, what in the heck, what are we doing? What we're going to show?
Well, we got an amazing new product called Fire Strike. It's a liquid fire suppressant that you can use to put out A, B, and D class fires.
All right, the reason I asked that is this is, according to all the information we have, is one of the very best fire extinguishers available today, period.
Yes, it's an amazing new product that both in the aerosol can and they also have in bulk containers.
Now, friends, I tell you what, those of us, if you've never experienced a fire at home or you've ever been in a volunteer fire department, you know what can happen. And this is something that we thought we would show you, because we're going to make this available through our health club, is this Fire Strike liquid fire suppressor. Now, Gilbert, tell me, what is your background as far as firefighting?
Well, I've been involved with the volunteer fire department for years and been a fire chief and in a community fire department and also fire chief at a major industry.
So you know what you're talking about. When it comes to talking about fighting fire, you're well qualified to speak about these things.
Well, I've fought a few.
Fought a few. And friends, a lot of you know that of my personal loss this past year. My close friend burned up in a house fire, and who knows what would have happened if they would have had proper fire prevention. I don't know, but this is something that we're all very concerned about. Now, Gilbert's going to give us a couple of demonstrations. Now, this is what makes the Fire Strike so unique, Gilbert.
Well, I think the most unique thing about it is it's 100% biodegradable. It's non-toxic, safe to use. It won't harm you in any way. There's so many products out there on the market today that's corrosive, toxic, and after they're used, they become a hazardous material. And this is not that way.
So this is not at all. You don't have to worry about, let's say you had a grease fire in your kitchen and you sprayed this grease fire, you wouldn't have to literally disinfect your kitchen and be worried about if some vapor got on something, because it wouldn't poison and kill the rest of the family, right?
turn the chicken over and keep frying.
That's great. Well, sir, you're going to demonstrate just how well this stuff works, aren't you?
Right. All right, the first thing we'd like to demonstrate is how this product will turn heat. And the young lady here has volunteered to hold this towel up. So what we want to do is spray this towel with some of this agent. Okay, I'll have to hold this back here. I'll set this torch on fire. Okay, just hold one hand behind it. And you can't feel the heat at all.
That's cool.
Okay.
That is so cool.
All right. Now that's through 4 layers. Oh, put your hand between this.
Okay,
You
now I
just
have
use
to
one
go.
layer. Okay.
Cool.
Now you can't feel the heat on the other side of this, and you see the towel. It's not on fire.
Cool.
Okay. Did you feel any heat?
No.
And you feel the heat on this side.
It's cool. That is
Okay.
cool.
All right, here's some wood chips. And what we'd like to do is demonstrate here how you can take this and set these wood chips on fire. See, in just a matter of seconds, you have a fire.
Friends, to order your Fire Strike fire extinguisher, call us on 1-800-728-8486. This is a terrific product. Remember, we do have some distributorships available, so please indicate that when you call. Again, Fire Strike fire extinguisher, 1-800-728-8486, $24.95. This could be something that could save your life and your home.